My video for January the 20th, 2020 is video number 3341. The title is When Truth is Replaced by Silence, the Silence is a Lie. Once again, I take quotations from Publishers Clearinghouse for my first 2020 video. Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn said, quote, "Anyone who has proclaimed violence his method inexorably must choose lying as his principle." End quote. Gore Vidal added, "They are longing for a war with Iran. Iran is no more a harm to us than was Iraq or Afghanistan. They invented an enemy. They tell lies, lies, lies. The New York Times goes along with their lies, lies, lies. And they don't stop. When the public that's lied to 30 times a day, it's apt to believe the lies, is it not?" End quote. Soviet dissident, I'm going to mess this up, Yevgeny Yevtushenko, and I'm sorry about that, butchering that name, gave a brief summation, quote, "When truth is replaced by silence, the silence is a lie." That makes a great title for this video. It should be obvious to anyone paying attention that we live in a violent world, a world riddled with lies and run by liars. How can we tell if someone is lying? The adage says of politicians, if his or her lips are moving, it's a good bet they are lying. Pastor Martin Niemöller said, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." End quote. I continue to speak out. Oh, and my speaking out gets me in trouble. I feel like I'm losing more and more of my friends because I speak out and say that we need to do something. If nothing else, we need to stand up for the truth by speaking out. Now, I remember one of my friends said, "Don't just talk, Ron, do something." Well, what do you want me to do? I am not a violent person. As I've said in other videos, when I was first time in my life I went hunting and I killed a rabbit, I felt so bad I swore I would never use a gun again. And I haven't. I was discharged from the Army because I said if it came to be killing somebody or being killed, I would take the bullet. And so I was given an early discharge from Uncle Sam's Army. Anyway, folks, you know, this whole idea of lying and truth is a challenge because sometimes we've been so brainwashed with things that we think it's the truth. For example, I was taught that Jesus was the only way of salvation, when in fact, the story of Jesus was an old story that was recycled through many cultures for over a period of time. It was not an original story of someone being anointed by God. And in this case, in the Christianity thing, we were told he was God. Well, we all are. We all are made of God's stuff because if God is all that is, then we are part of all that is, are we not? That's what's logical to me. Now, maybe it's not logical to everyone, but it's logical to me. So I get these things from Publishers Clearinghouse, and I appreciate the quotes because they are certainly food for thought, and that's why I subscribe to that, because they provide these wonderful quotations from people that think outside the box, or in the case of Pastor Martin Niemöller, he he was a military man, and then before he became a minister. And of course, he was a Protestant minister, I'm assuming. I don't know, Lutheran maybe, but I don't know that. I didn't do that much research on it. But he became a pastor, and then of course and at first he was a Nazi. He was aligned with Hitler till he saw what was happening. And then he spoke out. He waited a long time, but he finally spoke out. But as he said, by the time he spoke out, nobody was there to speak up for him. He survived the war, I believe. I didn't read the whole story. But in any case, there's a lot of people that think that it's the spiritual thing to do to not focus on the problem. Because when you focus on the problem, you just get more of it. And I know I've said that a lot in recent videos because that's an issue for me. That's something that matters to me. It makes a difference whether we are ignoring the problem or taking steps to try to remedy it. And the least anybody can do is not be silent in the face of contradictions. And there are so many contradictions, as I pointed out in the video that's current today, the 19th, when I'm recording this. There are contradictions in what the agenda is, even for the things like a discussion group, where we're supposed to be free to bring our discussion in there, but we're not. We're shut down by people who don't want to talk about certain things. And I mean, I've seen people get up and walk out of groups because they didn't like what somebody else was saying. And it's not about arguing with people and butting heads, because as I keep on saying, we don't get anywhere when we go into the anger stage and the argumentative stage. The communication shuts down necessarily. So we have to be willing to speak our minds, but we also need to have the wisdom and the self-control to do it in as peaceful a way as possible. Yes, every single one of us has unique experiences, even, as I've said, identical twins. Unless they're conjoined at the hip or something, they're going to have unique experiences. And we need to recognize that because of unique experiences, we have different vantage points. And those vantage points are experiential, and they are real to us because we've experienced them. It is reality. It doesn't matter if the world is an illusion, as somebody say. We are deluded by it for sure. And that's why we continue to wrestle, trying to find the truth and to tell the truth, which is, what truth can we tell? Some ideological truth? No, that's not what it's about. It's about telling our personal truth. This is the way I see things. I mean, I saw my good friend shut down another individual, and people speaking against that individual, shutting him down because he didn't ask questions. He was stating where he was coming from. He doesn't need to put it in the form of a question. But some people think if you're not asking questions, then you're making a statement and you're argumentative because you're making a statement. I don't understand that line of reasoning, but that seems to be what some of my friends think. And it really, really challenges me. And it breaks my heart that we cannot get on the same page and allow each other to express the truth of our experience without judging them and saying you're wrong, but simply allowing the free flow of personal experiential information. Because this is what we need to do to create a world that is finally at peace and truthful. Thank you for listening, and namaste.